Okay, this is Skill Acquisition Lesson 4. We're looking at feedback and stages of learning. So hopefully by the end of the lesson you'll be able to describe the different types of feedback that a coach might give to a performer, the characteristics of the 3 stages of learning which we've briefly mentioned, and the feedback that is required at each of those 3 stages. So first of all, what is feedback? It is used to improve performance, and it helps performers to reduce errors, improve confidence, and also gives motivation, especially when we look at positive feedback. So positive feedback is information about what was correct within the performance, what was good, and it's used as a form of praise, and especially used for people who are new to a sport. The opposite of that is negative feedback, and this is information about what was incorrect, what was poor within the performance, which part of the subroutine was performed badly, and it's used to correct minor errors and to eliminate any weaknesses in overall performance. Both of those are examples of extrinsic feedback, which is given from an outside source, such as a coach, or it could even be a peer. It's used to reinforce correct actions or correct errors that are in performance. Intrinsic feedback is only developed later on, and this is feedback for within the performer themselves, and it's using the idea of kinestheses to feel if an action was correct. So you can feel whether a tennis serve was correct with the contact that you get and the feedback that you get back from the contact on the racket. Knowledge of results is information about whether the skill was successful or not. So did the shot go in? Did the pass go to the teammate? And everybody can really get that, because that's more of a visual feedback on what the end result was of the skill. However, knowledge of performance is technical information about why the skill was successful or not, and that again uses this idea of kinestheses. Did you put enough power on the shot? Did you use the correct technique when passing? Did you use the correct technique when throwing a javelin? And it's only developed later on. Now, if I am a coach or even as a teacher, feedback first of all should be appropriate to the stage of learning of my learners. I need to make it understandable, depending on age and that stage of learning, and relevant as well. It should be simple and direct, not overcomplicating it, and it should always have positive in there to maintain motivation. And it should finish with some form of goal setting to help the performer to improve next time. So let's have a look at our performers. So stage of learning, we all go through different stages of learning with whatever we are doing, and we all have to start at stage 1, which is the cognitive stage. Think about cognitive, having to think about it in your brain, the beginning stage. Now these performers need lots of demonstrations from elite performers, from coaches, from other peers who are better than them, and they only just start to form mental images of skills, and that's what the demonstration allows them to do. Movements when they perform, quite jerky. The motor programs, so the group of subroutines that are stored as a motor program, are not yet formed in the cognitive stage, and they're using trial and error to explore how to best perform the skill. In terms of feedback, they need lots of extrinsic feedback from the coach, lots of positive feedback to keep motivation, and they only get knowledge of results, whether the ball went in, whether the pass went to the teammate or not. Now, if the cognitive stage that they keep practicing, they might develop through to stage 2, the associative stage. At this stage, they have to keep practicing over and over again to stay at this stage. There are fewer mistakes made with the performance than the cognitive stage, and they begin to focus on the finer aspects. So if we're looking at passing in football, focusing on the distance and how to get the right trajectory on the pass. If we're looking at shooting in netball, we're looking at making sure that we're getting the right trajectory, the right spin on the ball, the right grip on the ball. The performance is much smoother and coordinated. You are starting to develop now the motor programs and storing those in a long-term memory, and you're also developing the idea of schema, able to adapt these motor programs to different situations. May still use some trial and error with advanced skills, and some performers actually never progress from this stage. The performers still need some extrinsic feedback to get rid of those minor errors in performance, but they are starting to develop some kinesthetic feedback, knowledge of how well they performed it, and also some knowledge of performance about why the performance was good, and that's because they've started to develop this kinestheses. If you are fortunate enough to progress through to the autonomous stage, the expert stage, performance is a lot more fluent and efficient. Decisions are made very quickly. Lots of consistency, so it's not just a one-off good performance, it's consistently good. They're able to execute the skills very quickly because they're automatic, they're not having to think about it. And they're able to focus more on advanced tactics and strategies. Motor programs are at this stage fully formed and fully developed. They don't need much extrinsic feedback, it's mainly intrinsic to correct their own errors via kinestheses. Some advanced extrinsic feedback may be given on technical or even tactical details. They can deal with negative feedback if they do make errors, because they're now able to deal with that negative feedback, unlike the cognitive stage, and they rely on knowledge of performance, and they know straight away how well the skill was performed and why it was performed well or not. Okay, go through the video again, make some notes, and do your questions and summary.